All right, so let's go a little post-apocalyptic for a while, man. So, well, Ricardo, you're gonna talk about the full season, no, I should say season one.
Sure.
Hopefully not the last of Why the Last Man, and
Right.
we will jump into Finch, which is the newest Apple TV film featuring Tom Hanks, right? Well,
Right. Right.
following Greyhound, right? So. Ricardo, well, you talked about the first three episodes, I believe it was, of Why the
Right.
Last Man.
Right.
You were thoroughly enjoying it,
Yeah.
and then like about a couple weeks later, we heard unfortunately that I think it's probably like halfway into the season run that it was going to be cancelled, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. Well, we could jump in from here. Why do you think it was cancelled?
Well, I know about why it was cancelled exactly. There are a multitude of reasons. What I would say is that it shouldn't have been cancelled, but I understand why it get cancelled. Like in the sense of um pacing. Like the pacing in this is pretty bad. Um,
Oh, okay. Like
it,
I
it
thought you guys say it's slow, but you say bad. So like, all right,
Yeah, in the
yeah.
sense that the problem is that it didn't really did a okay. It didn't do a good job of translating to the comic, and they could get into a multitude of reasons as to why is that. But to me, to put it like it had the same problem that Star Trek Picard had, which is, yeah, it's a 10 episode run, but they could have tell the story in 5 episodes or so, in my opinion.
Oh, okay, I see. It's one of
Yeah,
those, right?
it's,
Yeah.
it's one of those, right? So, yeah, to build it back from what was going on, some type of something. We're not sure exactly what it is. I don't think they ever explain it, and even the comic doesn't really explain it. Um, but they basically some type of some presumably virus or something like that. Basically wipes out everything with a Y chromosome. Um, and so that basically means all, well, ostensibly cisgendered men. It's gone. Only women or people with the X chromosome is sticking around, and yeah, they that's pretty much the storyline. Then they have to get, well, one human survives, one male person survives. This is a guy called Yurik. Uh, and he's the president. He's, well, the a woman's Diane Lane's son, who's played by Jennifer Brown. And Yurik now have to get to well, some type of geneticist or somebody who's really, right, really like understand genetics to basically establish some kind of cloning to, well, effectively, well, repopulate the earth, or have set up mechanisms to repopulate the earth in some way, shape, or form. And that's pretty much it. And yeah, so the main character, Yurik, he's okay. He just kind of, the whole point of the character was him being kind of pushed around the story. Like, he don't really do much or anything like that, but he's effectively that. He's just a character who I forget what he's called it exactly, but basically he's just a protagonist that don't really do much. Just kind of a dope, and just everybody who more competent than him around the world sorting it out. Um, I'm not too clear on what he was going for with it in terms of why pacing it out so long. But yeah, that's the main problem with it. It's slow. A lot of it doesn't work. The drama itself, because the drama's so slow, none of it is really working in that sense. It's pacing really, really bad. They have some interesting dimensions of it. Like, they have a character, Sam Jordan, played by, I presume, a trans male actor, called Elliot Fletcher. He's a trans man in this world, which is kind of a whole interesting dynamic by itself. Diane Lane hiding the truth about her son. That's kind of interesting. But then they have another character who's supposed to be the president um, in terms of the line of succession. I think this is a character named Regina Oliver. The character that is the big standout that everybody like is Agent 355. She interesting as well. And then they play out the first book or so, where this kind of culty of sisterhood kind of thing. I forget the name, but I think it's basically they call themselves the Amazons effectively. They try to, like, run shot on the tongue where they found Yurik, and they find out that Yurik alive, and they say, no, well, Yurik is some kind of curse and to destroy Yurik because he'll bring back the evil of men in the world or something like that. And none of the dimension in his work, is interesting in that sense, but it's still fine. It's still well made, but it's clearly inferior to something like the Handmaid's Tale, and that's kind of my whole thing with it. Um, it really should have got more of a chance, but again, better shows have gotten killed for worse reasons. Sometimes he breaks, but we living in today's world where you could bring it back. Somebody call up Bezos on the phone and see if you could get a renew, right? That's how I feel about it. It's just not particularly well paced in my opinion. It's good. I liked it. I wanted more, but that was the main conceit I have and the main problem I had with it for the most part. Yeah, nothing else much to say other than that. It has some interesting positions, some interesting ideas, but it didn't really update its story enough to fit with modern times. They have a couple moments, but unlike something like Walking Dead, it is a little on the clumsy end of updating its story to fit a TV show now, for the most part. Because I don't know when the comic first came out was what, close to 20 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
believe so. Yeah.
yeah, so they had to update a lot of gender, how we talk about gender, how we understand gender. Um, obviously life changed since then in terms of how we talk about gender, right? And that's about it. You could see the kind of finagling with a lot of that, and they didn't really do that good of a job of updating the script and the ideas, at least in my opinion. So that's about it. Nothing else much to see. Rating. 7 out of 10. It's still well made. The acting and everybody bouncing off each other is quite good. In my opinion, I think the acting is good. The standout, of course, is Agent 35. She's pretty good. Um, but that's about it. I really, really hope yeah, I do want it to get a second season. But they didn't really do enough for me to engage in the conversation because one of the shows that I, I'll say it one of the shows that it's kind of I don't know what to call it, a pick me show, where it's so obviously like, you know, trying to tap into the culture war and discussions of the culture war, but nobody like that interested in that. It had have shows like that where right now we have this big thing about gender and have a whole bunch of women who don't mind men getting disappeared. And so the show actually does the scenario, and then nobody really actually engaged in that discourse because it's something that would have really blow up the internet like 10 years ago, but not now. I don't know. It just feels like one of these kind of try hard pick me kind of shows now, where it just clearly caters. It's kind of like what Brightburn is to the evil Superman premise now. It just does
Right.
the
Right.
thing. It just does the thing, but don't really do anything more interesting or add anything to the discourse. I mean, any interesting way or brings up anything worth acknowledging as a premise. The will like our discourse already evolved beyond that, to be honest, and is a show that kind of come along a little too late in that sense, in my opinion. That's how I feel about it. It's not really roping me in that way. I'm not seeing any like I've not seen the show trend once on Twitter, other than its premiere.
Wow.
It didn't really, yeah, so it had no single episode that was really roping anybody in. Nobody was watching it. That was it. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, 7 out of 10. Moving on.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I was about to ask if it was worth binging, and it's clear that it isn't. It really is. All right,
Right.
so if you don't mind, I will do the synopsis for Finch, right?
Sure.
Which is a new feature film starring our boy Tom Hanks.
Right,
And
right.
it's also well, the second film that he's done for Apple TV. Although it's clear, I mean, given his star power, this clearly was supposed to be for theaters, right? But COVID and apparently this was like a spec script that was literally like just there for like years on end, and like now finally got to see the light of day pretty much, right? But yeah, what it's about now is that well, it's set in the near future, right? Solar
Right.
flare took place. The ozone layer is pretty much destroyed. um but as a result, now, well, we introduce the character of Finch, who is played by Tom Hanks, right? He is this, well, it's not really established how old he is, but clearly he's played a character much older than who he is in real life, right?
Right.
But yeah, he pretty much is I want to say a scavenger, but he's also a scientist as well, right? He has, by his side, he has a dog by the name of Goodyear, and he
Right.
has this helper robot who technically is, well, is I kind of saw him as the dog robot equivalent in, well, sorry, the dog equivalent in this scenario, even though technically it's not a dog, right? But it kind of
Right. Right.
moves on all fours, right? By the name of Dewey, right? But what it's about, it's that well, we kind of get a sense of how the world is. There's these sandstorms, just ultraviolet rays and all that kind of stuff. So of course you can't be outside for too long, or else you'll die. And it's just unpredictable as far as just the weather is just all sorts of unpredictable, right? And it's even worse now because like literally you hardly see anybody in the film, so you're not really sure if if a majority of people are dead or if they just become like scavengers or marauders, in a la Mad Max, right? You're not really
Right.
sure, but it just really centers on this guy, right? But what it all boils out to in a nutshell is that he creates this robot by the name of who he eventually calls Jeff, right? It's voiced by Caleb Landry Jones, right, aka Banshee from X-Men. First Class, he was that creepy dude from Get Out, Jeremy. Yeah,
Right. Right.
he I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, he's been on movies. He's been on movies, right? And we kind of learned early on the purpose of Jeff's existence, right? It's just, well, how he says it, just straight up, just bluntly, is that he wants someone to take care of Goodyear should Finch be busy, right? That's all I'll say, right? And what we get here is pretty much like a road trip movie because through some circumstances, Finch feels he need to go to the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. There's some personal reasons behind that, and it's just seeing Finch and Jeff kind of, well, Jeff learning about what it means to be human, and Finch just in a nutshell kind of learning what it means to trust in someone, right? Because yeah, there's a couple of backstory. Well, the second one in particular was really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That shows just how trust in this world could kind of result in you basically losing your life, right? So that's it. So Ricardo, what were your thoughts? Sorry, on Finch.
I dug it. It's Tom Hanks returning to probably one of his more popular roles ever, Castaway, in a sense. Uh,
Yes, yes, yes.
yes,
And
kind of
I'm
the
glad you
eyes.
can bring up Castaway too because it
Right.
does have that feel of it's him, but there's no human characters per se for him to interact with. He just
Right.
interacted with a dog and two robots, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
he's also rocking that beard again, right? Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. But it's just the isolation, right? How you play with the isolation. It reminds me. I thought I'd describe this movie. It's a mix of The Martian and Robert and Frank. If you remember that show, that was a few years back with Frank Langella and his robot and him being a criminal back in the days. That was six. It's just him bouncing off of quirky robot, right? It's proto Futurama, right? Um, yeah, it was just a nice, in my opinion, solid, character piece. Interesting character piece that works for the most part. I don't love it, but um, it was just really, really solid for what it was, and I didn't. It's not that interesting because it doesn't do anything like premise wise, but it just feels like a really smart short story. Um, that's how I feel about it. Yeah, yeah. So it works in that sense. I couldn't be too. I was too hyped over it, and but I was like, it's Tom Hanks. I like his World War II movie. Let me get a chance, and I enjoyed it for the most part, but I didn't love it. Like it just felt like an extended, you know, Black Mirror episode, and things just play out in a normal way. Nothing interesting. That interesting happens. It's not special, but it's not bad either. It's just if you're into the character piece, as I say, it's a spec script. It doesn't do much more than that, in my opinion. As in, it's just the premise. It runs out, and then it just goes more like a more like this could have. I felt this could have worked a little better as a short. Not as long as it was, but it is still fine. Um, well, I enjoyed it. So that is about it. What else to say? Wait, nothing. I dug it. It's life and just humanistic. Him having to run through life, and then what happened. The ending I liked. In terms of where the robot ended up and what the robot ended up having to do. Um, it's fine. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I don't know ratings. I'll give it like a 8 out of 10, low 8 out of 10. It works because of Hanks. Hanks holds it. That's the main thing.
Right, right. Well, I agree with you for the most part, man. I mean, it really, really does feel like it should have been a short film, right? But those like um, I would say it having the feel of a short story, or
Right.
should have been or would have played out better as a short film, and then also too, nothing much unique or spectacular or extraordinary about it. those are just nitpicks to me, but they're not really like, glaring nitpicks to me. I imagine that if I was just a huge fan of post-apocalyptic drama, I would have been like, well, all right, been there, seen that. Okay, get from point A to point B because of some sort of weather pattern, something, and character is yes, there's something wrong with the character, and okay, we need this robot, and the robot understands about life, and it's stuff that you've seen before, right? But
Right.
I could tell that the director and writers involved knew this, right? They knew that this isn't really treading any new ground, right? But I don't really see that as a big issue. It's just it's it's as familiar enough for you to get attached to, right? I was glad that he actually brought up the Martian, because I was picking up on the Martian vibes as well too.
Yeah.
In terms of just this likable lead and him having to kind of quote unquote figure things out on his own, and then also with how the world is so dusty and has this kind of deserty kind of vibe to things, right? So yeah, I picked up on the Martian vibes as well too, right?
Right.
But really, really, what makes it work, of course, is Tom Hanks. Though he really
Yeah.
does sell it. He's not doing some Oscar-worthy performance or all that. But one thing I really do love about Tom Hanks as an actor, Trent, is that like the older he gets to, it's not like he half-asses his later roles or whatnot, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, he's not trying to win an Oscar again. He's done that before. But even still, he's gonna come through. He's gonna kill it. He's gonna come through with a great performance. He's gonna make you like him like really a lot. You'll feel for him as well too. You'll laugh when certain things happen. And yeah, he's just such a likable character in this too. Um, and I would say who comes at a close second, of course, is the character of Jeff, too, who, like,
Yeah.
I didn't think I would have really liked so much way, but I did. Just from the moment I heard his voice, and it's the typical "I must talk like this because I am a robot" kind of thing,
Right.
right?
Well,
But they make it work.
they
They
explain
make it
that
work for
kind
them.
of, yeah, they kind of explain that because, well, slight spoilers. His quote unquote personality is not fully downloaded. I think it reached like 72% or something like that. So it was like you couldn't install the full, like, whatever proper robots couldn't he couldn't have a full personality for the most part. So he uses
Right.
for the equivalent in terms of like a human equivalent, you'd be like a, I don't know. Well, I don't know the politically correct term, but basically an invalid, right? Somebody who, for some reason or the other, are mentally deficient. Um, yeah. So that's basically what they kind of was going for, I suppose.
Yeah, understand. Yeah, but yeah, he was really really likable as well too. But you got
Right.
some really hilarious moments with him as well too. I
Yeah.
love how open to things, open to learning about things he was doing. I mean, yes, he would do some stuff awkward because again he doesn't know much, right? But it's just fun seeing him just kind of figure things out on his own, right? And you really got some great character moments involving the two of them, right? The third act though, and I was warned by a fellow a fellow collaborator of ours that if you don't tear up at least once while watching the show, you have no soul. And that third act though really really hit
No,
my man.
yeah.
Like the man tears fluid, right? But I would say it's not in a, how to say, in a manipulative kind of way. It was just like, all right, yes, there was some foreshadowing early on though, but it's how it kind of comes into the story. That's all I'll say. It doesn't come in force at all. It feels very natural. You know what I mean? Very light, very calm, right? And then when it happens, though, it's just like, wow, man, like this. You really feel it. You really do feel it, but it's not like a gut punch. That's something that just comes
Right.
out of nowhere, right? That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Again, it's something I see it better. I see it better done in other sci-fi premises. So it wasn't like that mind, but because, like, yeah, I was expecting for them to do that. Like, it's like
Yeah,
the way
me,
you
me
saw,
too.
yeah, the way
Yeah,
you saw it set up, it's like, yeah, they was going to go direction, but like, yeah, well, it's still well done. And
yeah,
look,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hanks will sell it for you, so he really held it together. But yeah,
Yeah.
um,
But let's just to wrap things up though. I don't know. Like I feel like there will be some people, like some really diehard, maybe not just sci-fi fans, but just fans of movies in general who might just come out of it like, all right, this is all tropey, and I've seen all this stuff before, and how much million times we'll see the post-apocalyptic apocalypse, sorry, and it's all density. You know what I mean? Like it will come out like people might come out and think because it's all too familiar that okay, that means the movie is bad or poorly written. I don't see
Right.
it like that at all. Like it's just a simple premise, like a, simple enough that even someone who's not into films of this nature, right? Because I mean, even though the show should be very bleak, given its setting, it's very humanistic, as I said, very lighthearted as well too. I honestly was expecting to see more people in the show, like more humans, but I was surprised that there was only like about two or three. That's all we'll say. But that
Right.
was kind of it was a little off-putting at first. Like, wait, they're like, well, where are the people? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they don't quite explain where they are, but it's up
Yeah,
to you kind of figure out where they
it's
are.
mostly addressed at the end. I was like, okay, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
well, this makes sense. All right, fine. And
Mm,
given where he was in the storyline, because I forget he was working for a company, so he was like,
he was, yeah.
he himself would have been isolated one way or the other, and then given the circumstances, you can understand why he would have survived. I forget the name of the company, but basically it was like the equivalent of a bomb shelter, effectively. Um,
Right, right, right.
in that, so you could, he had enough food and rations or whatever it is to survive as long as he did.
Yeah.
Everything
I
in
think
terms of the work
another I
village.
think another reason why I was looking out for people now is because of the other shows thinking about while I was watching this. I Am Legend, right?
Right, right,
Which starts off with, Will and his dog, and it's just about him surviving these, creatures, but then he runs into the mother
right,
and, well, the child now, basically, right? So, there's people in this world. As like I told you, you're gonna get a moment where Tom's character or Finch would actually interact with a human being, right? But it didn't play out like that, right? Which
right,
is
right.
which was interesting. It was really
Yeah.
interesting, right?
No, and
Uh,
I think in terms of this location where he was, it made a lot of sense. Like the American Southwest now. So he's supposed to be the American Southwest, and I think they're traveling west to go to, because they get to San Francisco at the end, right? Um, that is already like big and isolated anyway. I mean, it's just a sort of open space anyway. So, like, given the circumstances, like I sure even without this solar flare thing, you shouldn't be out in the sun in the American South. I think that's like arguably one of the hottest parts of the world anyway. So it's
I
like,
believe so. Yeah, yeah.
right. So it's like, like I would have liked to see what South America is like in the scenario, something like that. But whatever. Um, yeah. Again, nothing too brilliant. Just a well executed, straightforward story that works. That works reasonably well. And again, it's all Hanks.
Yeah, it's all him,
It's
right?
all
Like,
Hanks. It's a
I
Tom Hanks
mean,
show.
yes,
It
yes,
works.
Jeff is funny, what I mean, and Caleb
Right.
does a
Right.
great job voicing the robot, and
Right.
some great little motion graphic effects and all that kind of stuff
Right.
too.
Right. Right.
But at the end of the day, it's Tom. Tom
Yeah.
is, the movie's on his shoulders, and he
Right.
carries it, very
Yeah, pretty
very
much.
well. Yeah.
So yeah, that's just like my last take on it. It's good, not great. I didn't think I wanted more because I didn't know what to expect more than this. Like I didn't expect some big mystery or some twist or nothing like that. This is what I expected, and that's what I got.
Right.
And
Oh,
it
you
was
probably weren't expecting like some action or some
no,
suspense. But
no,
to be fair, you do get some not not nail biting intense, but you do get some solid, thrills. You know what I mean?
right,
Some
right,
some really like, oh my god, if this thing doesn't play out, kind of scenarios. So you do get that, right? So it's not all drama and kicks and stuff like that, right? But yeah, I do agree with you. It's fine. It's really really good though.
yeah,
I would say, like, even if you're not a fan of this style of this subgenre of sci-fi, you should still check it out, man. So for me, rating wise, I'm gonna give this a decent 3.5 out of 5, man. I would say it is worth checking out. If you're a Tom Hanks fan, you'll really enjoy this. It's just
right,
another notch on his belt, basically.
right. I don't
But
think
I do think that there will still there'll still be people who may come out
yeah,
of this like, all right, been there, seen that, see this twist coming. It's not even a twist. Come on.
right,
How,
right.
how, how much more of these style shows are we gonna get, right? But I mean, that's if that's your stance, then fine.
Right.
But if you just want something lighthearted, especially given the genre that it is, the subgenre that is, sorry, yeah, give Finch a look, man.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think it'll make my top 10, but it'll probably make honorable mention. It'll be there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. and
Yeah.
last thing last, so I feel like this is one of those shows that's gonna be overlooked now. Like, okay, sure, it's Tom Hanks, but I think people might kind of skip it when they realize, oh, it's just only him. Okay, right. Well, who else am I gonna look forward to?
Right,
Some
right,
talking robot. Okay, whatever, right?
right.
But don't skip on this one.
Yeah,
Unless you just watch the trailer for it and it just doesn't pique your interest.
right, right.
Okay, fine. But really, if I would say, yeah, definitely check this out, man. Don't sleep on this one.
Yeah, yeah.